Well, I'm very new in this role, and in fact I have just started at the beginning of last week. I've been in the Faculty of Education here in Cambridge though, for the last almost 3 years. So it's my absolute great pleasure to welcome all of you. You might have, as you walked through, realised that it might have been a May ball happening on one of the grounds and they're wrapping it up. I thought we might have seen some bodies just kind of lying around. Might I say there was a merry-go-round, and I'm thinking, are these grad students, are these students actually got children? And then I realised it's going to be this mix of alcohol, the merry-go-round and students at May Ball, okay? And that's not a particularly good sight, I don't think. Ray, how can I follow you? And also can I absolutely say what a great pleasure it is to be able to stand up in front of all of you, not just here, but actually as people who, on a daily basis, nurture, look after, worry about the next generation. And it's with those thoughts in mind, I just want to frame some of my remarks around the idea of social justice and why the kinds of institutions and the kinds of daily practices to do with educating the next generation matter. You can go to multiple sets of venues, which I often do. I work quite closely, for example, with Education International, which is the Global Teachers Union. Indeed, earlier this week, I was there at a meeting trying to think about strategies for ways in which we might improve the conditions for teachers. And there's a lot of talk about education mattering. It's part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Important, for example, that we get all children into schools, and there are lots of figures and so on. And we might draw from this very strong statement about education mattering for everyone. Wherever you are in the world, you ought to be included. And there's always a strong narrative around the fact that teachers matter. Okay? Even McKinsey and others will put out large reports and they'll say, at the end of the day, at the bottom line, it is teachers that make the difference. Teachers. Every single one of you and many more make the difference. And you might now expect that governments would put at the highest level of priority an investment in teachers, teacher salaries, because we actually know if we look at systems that do well, they are systems that actually acknowledge and reward teachers for their contribution. But there's another debate that circles, which actually the World Bank is guilty of this, is to say, we don't need educated teachers. Training's actually a bit of a problem, pedagogy and so on. And indeed, right at the moment, there's an argument circling around about artificial intelligence. In other words, artificial intelligence and machines can actually do the job of replacing teachers. AI, big talk, big story everywhere you go. Now, my own view and my own research has been to say that's a false solution. And what the issues really are around the governance structures, how we organise in a system kind of way, our education systems. And if we were to get the structures right, that actually what we would actually begin to see, and we see this in terms of systems at work, good results, people want to engage in teaching, want to enrol in teaching, want to become teachers, they stay in teaching. And it's the governance of education systems that we need to worry about, because that frames the sets of conditions that make a difference for teachers' work, children's learning, what happens in daily classrooms. So I want to float a flamingo idea. I want to say, let's replace AI, artificial intelligence, with another AI or a set of AIs. I want to have us talking about authentic intelligence, not artificial, authentic. I want us to talk about AI as inquiry, innovation, all the things that this setting today, this conference, over the course of the day, is going to be talking about. Like a set or a flock of flamingos, this gathering today will generate a set of conversations that is precisely what authentic education, authentic intelligence, authentic inquiry is about. Let me just refer to bell hooks, who lowercase b, lowercase hooks, but essentially what she talks about is calling for sets of change that link daily practices with structural change. And I think that's the kind of gathering conversations that days like today begin to set in train. What I hope you'll be doing over the course of today is to challenge, really, what Boaventura de Sousa Santos talks about as a series of monologics. Okay? There's one way in which we can be productive, economic, but we know we can be productive around our social relationships and forms of inquiry. A monologic around, that we have to have winners and losers, organise our representations of the education system in terms of who's up there and who's down there. Why can't we challenge that? Why can't we flatten those hierarchies? Aren't there other ways in which we actually can think about who we are rather than organising ourselves in terms of a hierarchy? I think the flamingo symbolism gives you all the energy and all of the mental power to think in imaginative and creative and different ways around transformation as we see the baby flamingo morphs into this beautiful other thing. The intelligence, the way it stands on one leg in order to keep and stay warm. Its capacity to adapt to all kinds of environments all over the globe. But they do live in communities, and the idea of nurturing the young under their wings and in the nest, pushing them out into their kindergarten spaces. This is about community and relationality. And if we're to educate the next generation in the face of enormous challenges, climate change and so on, my bet is not on artificial intelligence. My bet is on every single person like you in this room who understands completely the importance of a collectivity, relationality, a way in which we have conversations that take our practice as educators, not just seriously, but actually as a way of moving the next generation forward in such a way that they thank us for helping us, them, confront the future. So welcome to this day. Have a fabulous day. The sun is out. You're a bunch of flamingos, so just go for it.
Very much indeed. That was really inspiring. Thank you so much.